How's it going, everybody? So, a fun review today as we're talking Season 3 of Invincible. Super stoked to be talking about this series once again, as it is one of my favorite ones at the moment. Although, I still have not tapped into the comic books. I read a lot of comic books, I just have never tapped into Invincible. But honestly, with how Season 3 goes, I think this finally might be the final push I need to actually indulge in the comic books. Now, I have only seen the first 6 episodes of Season 3. Amazon didn't send out Episode 7 or the finale just yet, but based on these first 6 episodes of Season 3 and how incredibly strong they are, actually I think the season gets better as it goes on with the stakes becoming greater. I can only imagine how insane these last 2 episodes are going to be. Another major positive for Season 3 is, unlike in Season 2, there is no giant break this time. That was one of the worst parts about watching Season 2, was the mid-season break, and we had to wait 4 months to get the last 4 episodes. That is not the case here. It is first 3 episodes this week, and then it's 1 episode per week till the end of the season. Outside of the epic action in Season 3, which I'm definitely going to be circling back around on, Season 3 truly solidifies why Invincible is such an amazing series. Regardless how this series juggles a handful of characters' storylines, almost all of them are genuinely engaging and thrilling. With everything that Marcus had to endure up to this point, and now seeing the aftermath of what he did to Angstrom, I've loved his continued progression and seeing Mark come into his own and maturing as a hero. His all-around maturity leads to a lot of great layers to the story. As Mark continues to grow as a person throughout this season, so too does his strength and endurance. It's kind of insane when you see it in action just how much stronger he is compared to the previous 2 seasons when he's going out on missions as Invincible and fighting all these various types of adversaries. And he tears through some of them like they're made out of tissue paper, like we're talking waves of different enemies just completely splattering all over the place. You can imagine with his growing power level, it presents its own new set of issues, particularly with impending threats in the background slowly coming into the forefront that we saw teased in Season 2. Also, a lot of friction between him and Cecil, who we do finally learn a little bit more about in Season 3, delve into his backstory, and what we present here, learning about his backstory, does make him seem all the more shady of a character. And when all of that shadiness comes to light, it does present some interesting conflicts for Mark, with some of the more difficult life decisions he'll have to make, along with some of those decisions even impacting the Guardians of the Globe. Of course, because I haven't read the comic books for Invincible, I don't know necessarily if this is going to be a permanent change or not, but I really like Mark's new suit that they introduced a couple episodes into Season 3, this blue one. Personally, I think the color scheme of it pops really well in action, and it complements him well when he has Oliver around as a sort of sidekick. Speaking of growth, I kind of expected this one more so because of Oliver's genetics, but he is so much older and such a fast pace. When it comes to Oliver, there is an endearing quality brought to him with his presence. How badly he wants to go out there and be a superhero like Mark. Maybe it's just me because I read a lot of comic books, but it feels like it's kind of relatively early in the stages of this show for Mark to already be basically a mentor character with a sidekick. We're still so early in Mark's development, and now we're going to have him be a mentor. However, I do think him being a mentor-like figure for Oliver brings some exciting challenges for Mark as a character in this season. You know, trying his best to navigate the best path to steer Oliver down, trying to be a better role model than his father ever was to him. A challenge, as we'll see, could be a very difficult one, because the moment that they throw Oliver into action in Season 3, this child is an absolute menace. That half Viltrumite DNA Oliver has and the Viltrumite way of thinking runs rampant at times, leading to some shocking bloody maulings you might be caught off guard by. There's an action set piece involving Oliver early on that kind of had my jaw on the floor how shocking it was. Occasionally amongst the Invincible chaos, there's a sprinkling of Alan and Omni-Man to bring some fun levity to the series. It starts out fairly mundane for the 2 of them because there's not really too much for them to do because they're imprisoned. Eventually there's a major shift about midway through the season where I was super hyped to see more of them in the episodes. To be honest, out of everything that's going on in this show, the Alan and Omni-Man stuff probably is my second favorite besides the main story, of course, with Mark. Pairing Omni-Man and Alan together is just such a fun pairing that you would not expect to work the way it does. Don't get me wrong, I still feel like for the most part, Nolan deserves all of the punishment he's getting for everything he's inflicted up to this point. I must admit, I like the complexity added lately for his character. Him having this realization he can have emotions and show remorse and empathy. It seems like where we're leading things for his character towards the tail end of Season 3, we are kind of setting up a semi-redemption arc for him that I feel like could inevitably be very satisfying. Also, in a series like Invincible that is known for a lot of blood, guts, gore, and chaos, there's one particular particular kill that involves Alan and Omni-Man that I think is probably the most disgusting kill of the entire season to this point. Trust me, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about when that episode happens. As per usual with Invincible, they do add a lot of interesting new side characters into the mix, usually voiced by a lot of well-known actors in the space. I don't know how Amazon does it, but it seems like pretty much every actor you can think of is in this show. Being someone that's a massive fan of Cobra Kai, I was stoked to see Xolo Maridueña. He pops up a couple times voicing two characters, Dropkick and Fight Master. Mark ends up having to help in one episode. Besides him, there are some other cool additions to the cast, like Multi-Paul, voiced by Simu Liu, who's a decent addition, but you don't get to see a whole lot of him until later on as well. In the bits that I've seen, we didn't get a ton of Aaron Paul voicing this character called Powerplex. His power set is pretty cool, but more importantly, what a tragic antagonist due to some of the consequences of his own actions in one of those episodes. Unlike in season 1 or season 2, I definitely feel like there are some people that could feel like season 3 feels somewhat aimless. Unlike in season 1 or season 2, where it felt like there was like a big central antagonist that many of us knew was going to be the central foe of the season, there isn't really much of an overarching threat necessarily until about roughly the midpoint of the season. Almost none of the storylines in season 3 I would say is dull by any means. Maybe the Debbie storyline stuff. It's a shame because I like Sandra Oh, but I just don't find Debbie very interesting in this romance conflict that she's got going on. At one point in time in the season, there's actually quite a lot of romance going on between her, several members of the Guardians of the Globe, and Mark, of course. Nevertheless, there's still plenty of tension and conflict to go around amongst Invincible, the missions he goes on, the Guardians, etc. For sure, I feel like some people could be thrown off about the gradual buildup of everything leading to the last half of the season. All around, though, season 3 of Invincible is yet another fantastic season of this show. Honestly, I mean, it's kind of tough because we're seeing a lot more contenders these days between Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, X-Men 97, stuff like that. It seems to me like Invincible continues to be at least my personal favorite. It's definitely one of the best superhero shows on TV, but so far, I still think this is the one that reigns supreme. They continue to raise the stakes further and further. The complexity of the story surrounding Mark is one of the biggest hooks of all this. Plus, you got some pretty badass action to go along with it and a fantastic cast. The only thing I really feel like they could improve on this show that would make it just a 10 out of 10 experience is the animation. The animation at times is very so-so. It's a very common complaint you see a lot of people talking about with this series. I don't feel the animation necessarily is terrible by any means, but compared to some of the other shows, not Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, it's definitely better than that. I feel like it's something they should for sure improve on, maybe cut out some of these big name voice actors and instead pay the people that animate the show a little bit more and make it look a little bit better, more visually vibrant. Either way, once you get a chance to check out Invincible Season 3, the first 3 episodes drop later this week, and then it's 1 episode per week afterwards. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. What you think of the series? Did you like the series? Did you not like the series? And thank you guys, as always, checking out the videos. I always do appreciate it. Make sure to like on the video. Also, subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. But next time, I'll see you guys later.